Hi everybody. Today I'm actually going to talk about some SEO strategies or Google traffic strategies that I learned from the weekend. I attended a WordPress conference, and if we have time, I'm going to share some tips and strategies on how to set better boundaries with your time, with your knowledge, and with your energy. But let's see how we're doing for time. I'm recording this just as one of my friends from Singapore is coming to visit. She fancied a bit of greenery, and I told her near our house we have lots of rivers. So I'm quickly just recording this because I said I would do it. And this is, in the last episode, I talked about how you've got to make it as easy as possible to record or to take action. And for example, if I was intent on making this perfect, I would have to get my makeup on and have to get dressed. I'd have to do a video recording, and I probably wouldn't get it done. But here I am, I've got half an hour before my friend comes, and I just want to whip out a quick podcast episode so I can share what I learned from the WordPress and also just some strategies to help all of you with, having better boundaries. Because I noticed a lot of the reason why a lot of you don't achieve your goals is due to burnout, is due to lack of boundaries out of your time and energy and people taking advantage of you. So I think over time, as a recovering people pleaser, I've learned how to set better boundaries. But let us begin with me sharing what I learned at WordCamp, which is the WordPress conference. And so I was invited as a speaker to talk about how to make money from your blog while traveling. So I shared specific strategies on how to monetize and how I monetize my blogs, but also specifically how I monetize them while traveling, because that's an additional layer of complication, right? Not having Wi-Fi, not having stability. So I shared that. And honestly, I was quite nervous to attend this because one, I'm heavily pregnant and I look like a balloon. I just waddle around like a big balloon. My legs hurt, my feet hurt. I just don't feel as confident. I don't feel as confident as I used to. And I was like, is it going to be awkward because I don't look how I normally look. I don't feel as confident. And also I feel a lot like these tech conferences, especially in Malaysia where I am right now. It's pretty much male dominated, and there's a lot of tech bros, a lot of smart tech bros, and often I feel sometimes that I'm not capable. I think that's imposter syndrome, right? It's normal. And I feel like, what if I'm not smart enough to contribute my thoughts and ideas, and what if I get just overwhelmed with all the tech speak? So there was all that in the background. But I was very, very lucky that my husband was able to attend. He had just flown back from Ireland from his mum's funeral. Poor thing was sick. He was jet lagged. He was spluttering away. And he was obviously grieving his mum. But there he was. He turned up and he wanted to support me. So kudos to you, Jer, who attended. Now, there were many things that I learned on that day. But I want to share specifically, there was a guy, what was his name? Lee Chi Wing or something, and he shared how he managed to recover. He's an agency, an SEO agency, and he was sharing some strategies on how he managed to recover Google traffic for a lot of his sites and his client sites. Now, there's nothing set in stone, right? There's no, by the way, I'm not selling anything here. A lot of people, they sell, we can recover your site, and I sometimes think that it's a scam. I'm just literally sharing what I learned. It may or may not work. It seemed to work for him, and I think it was very interesting for me. So the HCU, which is a helpful content update, hit a lot of really good and really bad sites. It was an arbitrary kind of classifier, which I think a lot of people who hadn't used AI, who had done everything right, they also got hit. And so quite frankly, we're all a bit pissed off with Google right now. But this guy, he gave some strategies on how to recover the site. And number one, which I found very interesting, was he said, a topical authority can change over time. Now, the stuff I might share, you might already know. Please don't email me and say, duh. Some people don't know this stuff. So if you know it, good for you. If you don't know it, okay, it's time for you to learn. So topical authority is where Google assigns you as a subject matter expert in one particular area, right? And you can find your topical authority in Google Search Console. generally you will rank for 2 to 3 main topics. You can write 50 articles, but you will predominantly rank for maybe 2 to 3 main recurring themes, recurring topics on your blog, right? So let's just say you have a travel blog and you write about Florence, you write about Bulgaria, you write about Malaysia, but you're noticing a lot of the topics that are ranking are Florence. Boom, you have topical authority for Florence, which also means that if you write more content about Florence, it's likely you'll rank for that content. Google, for some reason, has assigned you as an expert for that particular area. So let's lean on into that and leverage on it. Now, interestingly, what I learned from this guy, Li Cheng Weng, or whatever his name is, really smart guy. He said topical authority will change over time, and especially after a Google update. And so what you need to do after a Google update is calm your nungas, calm down, don't rip your hair out. Number one, go for a walk, throw some things in the bush and get angry. Calm down, go for a sleep, wake up, and log into your Google Search Console and then look at the main queries that you're ranking for. And what you can notice now is your new topical authority. And if you can create content that matches your new queries and your new topical authority, this means that you can rank for those topics and get more Google traffic. So I found that very interesting because when I logged into my Google Search Console for some of the sites that I got hit, he was right. There were certain queries, certain topics in Google Search Console which had changed. You know yourself what you were ranking for before and what you are getting impressions and search queries for now. And it's so interesting. So I thought, that's interesting. So maybe we can tweak our topical authority to match what Google thinks you're an expert in. That was number one. And number two is pretty obvious. I mean, people have said this again and again, but he actually took action with this. And he said, gone are the days where, 2000, where was I? My alarm just went off. Gone were the days where we had to put as much long form content, 2,500 words, 3,000 words, to try and rank for as many keywords into Google, right? And he said what he did was, let's just say there's a search query in the title. He removed filler content in the intro, and I'm guilty of this. I put a lot of rubbish in my intro. Nobody really cares about the intro, to be honest. You need to get to the point. For example, what is the cost of living in France? Rather than, hi, my name is Achaprise, used to live in France, my brother lives in France, you should just say, welcome. The cost of living in France is X. Let me, in this article, break down how I've managed to come to that figure. So answer the question, remove filler content. I'm pretty sure you can use AI for this. I know people in other groups that I'm in have used AI to tweak their intros to kind of remove as much filler content. And so he said that this guy has found a lot of success in removing the filler content, especially in the intro, and answering the queries straight away. So this means you're, as valuable as possible, because think about it, right? He called it the cost of retrieval. He called it, the cost of retrieval for Google to crawl through your site to get the answer for the user query. If it's going to take a lot of cost of retrieval and have to crawl through a lot of content, they're just not going to rank you. So they want you to get to it as soon as possible, right? So that's something else I want to definitely start tweaking with my intros, is just removing a lot of filler, answering the question ASAP. Now, another interesting tip he had, which I've also heard, but I'd like to learn more about this, so if anybody else knows how to do this, let me know, is he said now, the recent HCU, Help Content Update has favored e-commerce sites. And I have to say that is true, because I have family members with e-commerce sites, and they've done very well after this update. And so what he said, what you can do is try and have more e-commerce features on your site. Now, what does that look like? He has a shop, and he mentioned a few of the features. It was really annoying, actually. I might email him. Think about product categories. Think about category pages. I know that Shopify has those features, so I want to actually email him. And if you know some other specific features, if you think about a blog, if you think about a website, and you think about an e-commerce site, what are the features of an e-commerce site? A checkout page, right? A shop. A category page, And so perhaps it's worth, getting on the bandwagon of selling products, your blog can have many revenue opportunities, and digital products are not that difficult to set up. You could actually buy PLR, private label, right content, products, and then sell them on your blog. So he said he's found great success with tweaking his site to make it look like more of an e-commerce site. I'd like to have more detail on this. Like, what else are the features of an e-commerce site that I can put on my blog to make it look more like an e-commerce site, to make it look more favorable in Google's eyes, And it's always good to have a shop on your site. Now, another big thing we've harped on about this for ages. I mean, I've always said this from the beginning. He said, again, cost of retrieval. If your site takes a long time to load and crawl through, it's not worth it for Google to crawl through. So speed. It's very, very important to, make sure your site loads in less than, I'd say, 5 seconds, 3-4 seconds, right? 10 seconds is too long. And to do that, you need to have less plugins, optimize your images. But the cornerstone of it is really getting a good theme. I use Cadence, it's free, and having a good host. I use WPX. Once you have a good host, it's like having a really good structure for your house. And WPX are great because they have great customer support, and they also do free speed optimizations. It's currently Black Friday right now, so they probably have, I think they have like 30% off. So yeah, go check it out. Feel free to use my affiliate link if you don't want to use that, no problem. But just know that there's opportunity right now with WPX, with getting cheaper hosting. And I've used them for years. I've used them after using all sorts of other hosts, such as Big Scoots. Lots of conversation for a day. I have beef with the owner. I think he's a bit of a dick. But anyway, long conversation. So finally, another thing that he said will help, and he said, which Google has denied again and again and again and again. And he said he showed proof of Google denying it, people at Google denying how CTR, or click-through rate, apparently they said, we do not take into account click-through rate figures. You can find your click-through rate in your articles in your Google Search Console. But then there was a leak, right? Remember, there was a recent leak a couple of months ago where they leaked what Google actually took into account. And CTR was one of those many things. So click-through rate, when someone sees your site, if the title's good, if the title's compelling and interesting and clickbaity, not clickbaity, but click-worthy, your click-through rate will go up. So learning how to increase your click-through rate. I think I have a really affordable course, like $7, that teaches you how to increase your click-through rate. So if you want it, let me know. Send me a message. Yeah, so tweaking your CTR, tweaking your click-through rate, he said, is a ranking factor. And the better your click-through rate, the more likely you can recover. Now, these are all speculation, right? Listen, we don't know. We could do everything right and still not rank. But this is something this is advice from an SEO expert who has an SEO agency with SEO clients. He certainly knows more than me. So, try and see if you can implement those. I think they're not that hard to do. Like, I hate it when they have all these really hard technical stuff that you need to fix, and it just goes over my head. But, matching search queries on Google Search Console, removing filler content, adding a shop, improving your speed, improving your CTR, click-through rate. Those are quick things. Those are low-hanging fruit that you can fix. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do now is talk about some quick strategies and tips on how to have better boundaries. Because I noticed this lack of boundaries is resulting in you saying yes to things that you're not particularly excited about or doesn't serve you, and then not having enough time and energy to say yes to things that really serve you and really make you happy. And then sometimes we wake up feeling really burnt out, really uninspired, and we're like, why do I feel this way? Really tired. That's because you're doing things that you don't want to do for people you don't like, and you're buying things you don't want. So I've had to be very mindful about my time, energy, and knowledge as I've increased in my skill and my expertise. And here are some examples of how I guard my time, energy, and knowledge. Okay, so we'll start with knowledge. Now, as you progress in your field, at the beginning it's really exciting. Everybody wants to pick your brain. You feel validated. You're like, wow, I'm an expert. But after a while, you realize that you don't have enough time to teach everybody everything, right? And then people start getting lazy. And instead of Googling stuff, they come to you. And you have to remember that, you took time, you took energy, you spent money on courses and training to learn your knowledge. So there comes a point where your knowledge becomes monetizable. And for me right now, I sell courses and training and coaching. My knowledge pays my bills, right? There's going to be a point when that happens, right? So how do you shift from being Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all to being able to charge for your time and knowledge or have better boundaries? And I actually tried this yesterday, right? Sometimes I get some really simple questions such as, how do I do X? Where can I find Y? And normally I just want to give them the quick solution. I'm not faster. But if you keep on getting to that habit, they don't learn. So I now, if it's a really simple question, I say, have you Googled that? ? And don't say it in a patronizing way. It could genuinely be something they've not thought about doing, because I never thought to Google stuff. So have you Googled that? Have you searched that in YouTube? Have you searched that in Pinterest? Have you searched that in Reddit? Have you tried to search for the solution that you're asking me? Because you know yourself that you wouldn't ask simple questions, right? And sometimes people are just lazy. They don't want to. They don't realize they're lazy, but they just can't be bothered to look for it. So they just ask you. And if too many people do that, you don't have any energy. So you say, I don't know. Have you Googled that? Or just say, have you Googled that? Or I don't know. Could be a really, really good, rather than going off and finding out for them, you could say, I don't know. Have you asked X? You know what I mean? Sometimes referring them to somebody else who is the expert. Like sometimes I get asked about things which are kind of outside my expertise. I probably could find the answer. Or I just say, have you asked X? Have you asked Y? I don't know. And that's really helpful because it encourages them to take a bit more initiative. So you're not the one stop, because you're going to be solving people's problems all day long if you're constantly giving them solutions. So I don't know. Or have you Googled Y? Have you looked for X? And then I say, because that's what I do, because you want to buffer it, right? You say, that's what I do when I want to find an answer. I look on Reddit. I look on Google. And that's in a way like giving them, pushing back a bit. Another thing that I do is, and this was a really hard shift when, I started charging for coaching, because I spent a lot of money on courses and training, and I would get people, and they don't have any ill intentions. They genuinely said, can we meet for coffee? I want to pick your brains. Let me buy you coffee. Can you take a look at my website and give me an order and I'll buy you coffee? And remember, coffee costs what? $5? I don't have time. I can buy myself coffee. I don't even have time to have coffee with my dad some days. My time is worth more than $5. You know what I mean? I spent way more than $5 to spend money on courses. So in a way, like, you don't actually need coffee. You know what I mean? It's you saying yes to something you don't need and want. If you want coffee, you can spend $5 and buy yourself coffee. But if they want to pick your brains and take your knowledge, spend a few hours with you, that's really valuable. 1, it's your time. 2, it's your knowledge. And 3, it's your energy. And so what I do now is let's just say they say, what should I do with this? You can give them a quick answer and say, here's a quick answer. But if you would like more in-depth, I can't give you a full answer because I haven't taken a look at your site or haven't taken a look at your situation. If you would like personalized advice, or personalized in-depth advice, here is my coaching rate. Here is my membership rate. Here is my workshop rate. Here's my course rate, So it's saying, here's a quick answer. Or like, what should I invest in? Well, I invest in index funds. If you would like to know the best index funds and a tailored solution to your situation, here's my coach. I offer coaching. And it's going to feel really uncomfortable at the beginning. And some people will push back and be like, you're so money greedy, But those are not your people. Because trust me, if I'm a friend and if I'm a family member and I really respect the boundaries of my friends and family, I would be like, okay, fair enough. If I want advice on, I don't know, fashion, and my friend's a fashion expert and she says, this is your color, but if you want more personalized advice, here's my rate. I'd say, fair enough. Okay, that's fair enough. I will pay for your coaching. I'll pay for your consulting because I have good boundaries and I want them to have good boundaries. So the people that get their knickers in a twist and get upset with you, they're not your people, you know? A true friend, a true family member that loves you will want the best for you. And what's best for you is for you to have enough time and energy to do the things you love and to do things you need, not run around like a headless chicken serving other people's needs, okay? And I just want to make a point here. Like, you can still be helpful and generous and kind and have boundaries. You can be those two things. You know what I mean? Like, just because you say no doesn't mean you're a bad person. I say no all the time, but I also say yes a lot of the time. But I say yes to things that serve me and that I truly want to do. So, you know, people think that saying no and being defensive and being protective of your time makes you somebody who doesn't want to help. That's not true at all. I'm very, very helpful. I don't like to publicize the things that I do because I think you should do them personally and you don't need to get clout for it. But, you know, there are a lot of people that I help personally in my own time, but I just don't talk about it. So that's a few things that I do. And another thing that I kind of like have noticed, sometimes people say, oh, can we jump on a call? I get this a lot, actually. I got a lot of emails saying, oh, can we just jump on a call? Just like jump on a quick call. I hate meetings. I hate phone conversations. I really, really think they take up a lot of time and energy. And so I try and avoid jumping on a call, jumping on a meeting as much as possible. Make that your general rule, not to jump on a call. And normally, if it can be an email, I'll make it an email. So can we jump on a call? Well, I'm not available to jump on calls, but what are your questions? Send me your questions via email. I do the same with invitations to events, right? Because, you know, I'm running 6 blogs. I have a whole husband. I'm trying to do renovation. And I'm about to have a kid, and you know, energy is limited. And you know, your friends might invite you to. I do get invited to events quite a lot. I used to in the past, not so much now. And people would love you to talk at this event. We'd love you to join. We'd love you and say, use this line, okay? Thank you so much for thinking of me. You got this? Write this down. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm not available to attend that event. All the best, okay? It's like you're thanking them because it is actually nice to be invited, that they thought about you. That's really lovely. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Just straight up answer, say, I'm unavailable to attend your event. I'm unavailable to do X, but best of luck with it. And doing it that way means that you're appreciating that they invited you. You've told them you can't. You're not messing about, and you're wishing them luck. And that's the best way to let someone down, or just say no. You know, that's a nice way to say no. And again, you're not responsible for the negative reaction of somebody else if you have said no with kindness and respect. I've always said that. So basically, if you can be a bit more careful about, you know, saying yes immediately to things. Another thing that I like to use this line is, say someone calls you, hey, can I have some money? Can I do this? Can you take me there? Let me think about that and come back to you. You do not have to agree to something immediately, okay? You can use this line of, let me come back to you. Let me have a think and let me come back to you. But I need to know the answer now. Pause and say, I know, but let me think and let me come back to you by the end of the day. Let me come back to you by tomorrow. When you agree to something on the spot, then you're like, damn, I should have had a better excuse. Should have said no. You don't have to say yes immediately. Just stall the answer to have a think about, is this truly something I want to do? So you say, another thing is, let me think about this. So someone says, can you do this? Or can I have advice on that? And say, let me think about this. I say that a lot. I say, let me think about this. Because it means that I don't have to come up with a solution immediately. And then later on I can decide, actually, I'm not being paid to ask this advice. So then I direct them somewhere else. So those are just some ways that you can have better boundaries. And, you know, it is not your job to fix everyone's problems. I used to definitely feel like, to be a good person, to be a good friend, to be a good human, I need to serve others and be of value, right? And I used to try to fix everybody's problems. It made me feel good. It gave me a kick, right? But actually, it is really not your job to fix everybody's problems. Don't become Mr. Fix It, right? Yes, we can offer our help when we have time and energy and effort, and that's truly what we want to do. but I'm going to sound really woo-woo here, but you're worthy enough without having to fix everybody's problems. Like sometimes when I meet people, I'm like, hey, how are you? Oh, life sucks. Oh, I have this problem. My immediate reaction is to try and fix their problem. But actually, do you really need to? Like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I would never go and meet somebody and be like, oh, my life's like, how are you doing? Oh, my life sucks. And expect them to come up with a solution, right? It's a give and take in a friendship, in a relationship. And so it's not your kind of responsibility to fix everybody's problems. And you're worthy of love and you are enough as it is without being Mr. and Mr. Fix It. Okay? So, oh gosh, I have 10 more minutes before my friend comes. I better get changed. Thanks for listening today. I hope that you found that useful. I'm always open to questions, actually. Like, I'm finding I get lots of emails, lots of messages, but however you listen to this, if you want to drop me an email, aisha@outandbeyond.com. If you want to drop me a DM on Instagram on questions, I always leave it anonymous. Ask your question, and then what I'll do, I'll answer them in this podcast. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening. Bye.